Welcome to another production of Source Selection Soundbites. These productions foster learning, insight, and the ability to perform. Today's topic is the remaining sections in Provision 52.212-1, Instructions to Offerors Commercial Products and Commercial Services. Today we will discuss Section G, Contract Award, Sections H through K, and Section L, Debriefing. Section G of this provision, Contract Award, is important because it contains language that contracting officers commonly include in the body of solicitations. The section starts out by saying the government intends to evaluate offers without discussions, so do your best on the first go-around. The reason this language exists is because before the FAR 1997 rewrite, the default was discussions, so it is now customary to inform industry that the agency does not intend to do so. This section hedges a little because the paragraph goes on to say, even though the agency does not plan to conduct discussions, the agency can do so if it deems it to be in their best interests. When read together, it demonstrates the agency has almost total discretion in terms of whether it will enter into discussions with industry. In the last slide, we learned that the decision to conduct discussions is largely discretionary. That is true except when the agency exceeds $100 million in the DoD environment. DFAR says that COs should conduct discussions when the acquisition exceeds $100 million. The GAO has interpreted this to mean that discussions are the default position, but it can be easily overcome by documenting the file with a rationale for foregoing discussions. The CO must know that the COFC disagrees with this interpretation. They see the should as a light shall that is not easily overcome. The next portion of Section G of the provision informs industry that it may reject any or all offers if such action is in the public interest or accept other than the lowest offer, presumably when using the trade-off methodology. The last and most interesting part is that the government can waive informalities and minor irregularities in offers received. There are two issues that need to be resolved if the CO is going to use the authority skillfully. The first is, what is an informality or minor irregularity? Second, what are agency options? Well, the first question about what constitutes an informality or minor irregularity can be demonstrated by showing what it is not. In keeping with source selection fairness, an error or omission that can be waived in accordance with 52.212-1G cannot be material. Errors or omissions are considered to be material when the error or omission violates an express provision in the solicitation that serves a substantive purpose. Another definition of material omission is when the information is important to the government's evaluation of the offer. The agency has two options when it comes to informalities and minor irregularities in the negotiated procurement environment. The agency can choose to waive them in accordance with the authority set forth in Section G of the provision, or they can choose not to use their authority to waive it, so the vendor would essentially be disqualified because of it. In negotiated procurement, there is a long line of case law that says a waiver of informalities and minor issues is discretionary. Now, in this slide, we will summarize the next several minor sections. Section H informs industry that the agency can award less than the quantities offered unless the offer says otherwise. This could result in making multiple awards to obtain the required supplies or services at the lowest overall price. Section I informs vendors where to access standard and commercial item descriptions and other pertinent documents. Section J addresses the requirement to have a unique entity identifier, or UEI. The UEI is a 12-character alphanumeric code, is the primary identifier for entities registered to do business with the federal government, replacing the DUNS number, and is obtained through SAM.gov. Section K is currently reserved but used to inform offerors of the system of award management requirements. Okay, now let's address Section L, the last section of the provision. It addresses debriefs. It informs the CO of the information that it shall disclose when the clause is applicable. The tricky thing is that while FAR Provision 52.212-1L, the text of which was included in this RFP, provides a list of required information the agency must furnish an unsuccessful offeror if a post-award debriefing is given, FAR 12 is mixed with either FAR 13 or FAR 15, so that is what controls whether a debrief is required. If the FAR provision does not mandate that an agency actually provide a debriefing, such as FAR 13, the agency may provide information to disappointed offerors, but it is not a required debrief. Therefore, it is not subject to the GAO's timeliness rules. To wrap things up, let's review what we discussed. We discussed Section G of the provision, contract awards, and the responsibilities and flexibilities associated with them. Second, we discussed minor Section H through K and their meaning. And third, we discussed Section L, debriefs. Thank you for watching another episode of Source Selection Soundbites. For additional information, check out some of the other videos in this series, other Productivity Partners materials, or our Source Selection Answer app that is available on the Google Play Store and Apple Store. In any event, thanks for watching, and see you next time.